Did Pope Francis just challenge centuries of tradition by rejecting the image of a white Jesus? This is a story that's making waves in the religious world, and it could shake the foundations of how many people view faith, from its historical roots to cultural implications. Today, we're diving deep into the shocking truth about Jesus' portrayal and why Pope Francis is speaking out. Stay tuned, because what you're about to hear may just change the way you see Christianity forever. Let's start with the basics. Who is Jesus historically? Born in Bethlehem and raised in Nazareth, Jesus of Nazareth lived in the ancient Middle East. Scholars agree that, as a Jewish man living in this region, Jesus likely had olive-toned skin, dark hair, and Middle Eastern features. Yet, for centuries, Western art has depicted him with light skin, blue eyes, and sometimes even blonde hair. How did this happen? This portrayal isn't based on scripture, but rather on cultural and political influences that shaped Christianity in Europe. Understanding these historical details helps us contextualize why Pope Francis' recent statements are so groundbreaking. Why did the image of a white Jesus become so dominant? When Christianity spread through Europe, religious leaders and artists began to depict Jesus in ways that reflected their own cultural norms. This wasn't just about artistic preference, it was also a political tool. A European-looking Jesus symbolized power, control, and divine approval for European rulers and empires. Over time, these images became ingrained in churches, cathedrals, and religious texts, reinforcing a narrative that aligned divinity with whiteness. Pope Francis's comments challenged this deeply rooted tradition, urging believers to embrace a more historically accurate representation of Jesus. So, what exactly did Pope Francis say? In a recent statement, he emphasized the importance of recognizing Jesus' cultural and ethnic origins. He criticized the widespread depiction of Jesus as a white man, calling it a distortion of history and faith. This isn't the first time Pope Francis has courted controversy. His progressive views on climate change, LGBTQ+ rights, and wealth inequality have already sparked debate. But by addressing the portrayal of Jesus, he's touching on something deeply personal for millions of Christians worldwide. His stance invites believers to explore their faith through a lens of authenticity and inclusivity. Why does this matter? Representation isn't just about aesthetics, it's about identity and belonging. For centuries, people of color have struggled with a faith tradition that often excluded their image from its narratives. Seeing Jesus portrayed as Middle Eastern rather than European could have a profound impact on how people connect with their faith. It's not just about correcting a historical inaccuracy, it's about creating a more inclusive understanding of Christianity. Pope Francis' remarks challenge us to rethink not only how we see Jesus, but also how we see ourselves in the story of faith. Pope Francis' rejection of a white Jesus isn't just a statement, it's a call to action. By encouraging a more accurate portrayal of Jesus, he's opening the door for conversations about diversity, inclusion, and the true essence of Christianity. This could lead to changes in art, education, and even the way churches present their teachings. It's a reminder that faith is not static, it evolves with time and understanding. Whether you agree with him or not, Pope Francis' bold stance is a challenge to look deeper into the heart of Christianity and rediscover its roots. The widespread image of a white Jesus was further solidified during the era of European colonialism. Missionaries and colonial powers exported Christianity to Africa, Asia, and the Americas, often accompanied by depictions of a European-looking Christ. This wasn't just about spreading religion, it was about asserting European superiority. The image of a white Jesus became a tool of cultural domination, subtly reinforcing the idea that European culture was synonymous with divinity and progress. Pope Francis's statements are a bold reminder to examine how colonial legacies continue to shape religious practices today. Art has played a significant role in shaping how we perceive Jesus. From Michelangelo's The Last Judgment to Da Vinci's The Last Supper, European artists created iconic depictions that reflected their own racial and cultural context. These masterpieces became deeply ingrained in Christian tradition, often overshadowing the historical reality. But art is also a medium for change. Today, diverse portrayals of Jesus are emerging in various art forms, challenging traditional narratives and inviting us to see Christ through a global lens. Representation isn't just a cultural issue, it's a theological one. If Jesus is portrayed as exclusively white, it can unintentionally suggest that divinity is tied to one race. This contradicts the core Christian belief that God transcends race and culture. By addressing this issue, Pope Francis is calling for a theology that reflects the universality of Christ's message. His remarks encourage theologians and believers alike to embrace a vision of Jesus that resonates with people from all walks of life. Not everyone has embraced Pope Francis' statements. While some applaud his courage in addressing this sensitive topic, others see it as unnecessary or even divisive. Traditionalists argue that the depiction of Jesus is symbolic and not meant to be historically accurate. Meanwhile, progressive Christians view this as an opportunity to correct historical inaccuracies and promote inclusivity. These differing reactions highlight the ongoing struggle within Christianity to balance tradition with the need for change. In many parts of the world, Jesus has been depicted in ways that reflect local cultures. In Africa, for example, Jesus is often shown with dark skin and African features. In Asia, artists portray him with Asian characteristics. These depictions celebrate the universality of Christ while honoring the cultural diversity of his followers. Pope Francis' stance aligns with this global perspective, reminding us that Jesus' message transcends any single cultural or racial identity. The way Jesus is portrayed can deeply influence how people perceive themselves and their relationship with God. For individuals who don't see themselves reflected in religious imagery, it can create feelings of exclusion or inferiority. Conversely, seeing Jesus depicted in diverse ways can foster a sense of belonging and empowerment. Pope Francis's call for a more accurate representation of Jesus invites the faithful to create a church where everyone feels seen and valued. Altering centuries-old traditions is no easy task. Religious institutions are often resistant to change, especially when it involves deeply ingrained symbols. Many churches around the world still display images of a white Jesus, and changing this would require not only a shift in mindset, but also practical steps like commissioning new artwork. Pope Francis' comments may be the catalyst, but it will take time and effort to see widespread change. Modern media has played a significant role in perpetuating the image of a white Jesus. From Hollywood movies to children's Bibles, this portrayal is deeply embedded in popular culture. Films like The Passion of the Christ often cast white actors in the role of Jesus, further reinforcing the stereotype. By addressing this issue, Pope Francis challenges not only the church, but also the media industry to rethink how they depict one of the most influential figures in history. Pope Francis' remarks reflect a broader effort by the Vatican to promote diversity and inclusion. Under his leadership, the Catholic Church has taken steps to acknowledge and address historical injustices, from colonialism to racism. By urging the faithful to embrace a more authentic image of Jesus, Pope Francis is reinforcing the Church's commitment to creating a more inclusive and equitable faith community. For many activists, the image of Jesus as a Middle Eastern man aligns with their vision of a socially just world. A historically accurate portrayal of Jesus challenges racial hierarchies and inspires movements for equality and justice. Activists see Pope Francis' comments as a powerful endorsement of their efforts to use faith as a force for social change. A more accurate representation of Jesus could also strengthen interfaith dialogue. By acknowledging Jesus' Middle Eastern heritage, Christians may find common ground with Jews and Muslims, who share similar cultural and historical roots. Pope Francis' stance encourages mutual respect and understanding among the world's major religions, fostering a spirit of unity and cooperation. Pope Francis' statements also present an opportunity for education. Schools, churches, and seminaries can use this moment to teach the historical and cultural context of Jesus' life. By educating the faithful about Jesus' true origins, the Church can foster a deeper understanding of his message and its relevance to the modern world. In response to calls for greater representation, many contemporary artists are creating works that depict Jesus in diverse ways. From sculptures to digital art, these pieces celebrate Jesus as a figure who belongs to all humanity. Pope Francis' comments may inspire even more artists to reimagine Christ in ways that resonate with today's global audience. What will the future of Christian iconography look like? If Pope Francis's vision is realized, we may see a shift toward images that reflect Jesus' historical and cultural context. This could involve not only rethinking traditional art, but also creating new symbols that represent the diversity of the global Christian community. Pope Francis' rejection of a white Jesus is more than a critique, it's a call to action. He's urging Christians to examine their faith through a lens of truth and inclusivity. This means challenging long-held assumptions, embracing diversity, and working toward a church that reflects the true spirit of Christ's message. The question now is, how will believers respond? Education plays a crucial role in shaping how religious imagery is perceived and understood. For many people, their first encounter with Jesus comes through Sunday school lessons, religious textbooks, and art in churches. These early depictions often solidify the image of a white Jesus in their minds. Pope Francis' comments present an opportunity for educators and religious leaders to introduce a more historically accurate narrative. Incorporating diverse and culturally authentic images into religious education can help foster a more inclusive understanding of Jesus from a young age. While race and culture are significant aspects of the conversation, Pope Francis also reminds us that Jesus' symbolism goes beyond physical appearance. Jesus represents compassion, sacrifice, and divine love qualities that transcend race and culture. By addressing how he is portrayed, Pope Francis isn't diminishing these qualities. He's enhancing them by aligning the image of Jesus with historical truth and universal relevance. This shift allows believers to focus on the deeper meanings of faith rather than surface-level depictions. For contemporary artists attempting to reimagine Jesus, the challenge is twofold: staying true to historical accuracy while also respecting the diverse ways people connect with his image. Some fear backlash for challenging traditional depictions, while others see this as an opportunity to innovate. Artists inspired by Pope Francis' call must strike a balance between honoring Jesus' roots and creating imagery that resonates with modern believers from various cultural backgrounds. Social media has become a powerful platform for reframing how Jesus is portrayed. From viral posts of Middle Eastern depictions to thought-provoking discussions about race and religion, platforms like Instagram and Twitter amplify voices calling for change. Pope Francis' remarks have fueled these conversations, sparking debates and encouraging users to share diverse representations of Jesus. Social media allows the church to reach younger generations and inspire them to think critically about faith and history. Church leaders hold significant power in shaping the perceptions of their congregations. Pope Francis' statements are a bold example of leadership that challenges the status quo. However, for his vision to gain traction, local priests, pastors, and bishops must also embrace and promote this perspective. When leaders at every level of the church actively engage in discussions about representation and inclusivity, meaningful change becomes more achievable. One of the most immediate ways to address the portrayal of Jesus is by diversifying the imagery displayed in worship spaces. Churches can incorporate artwork and statues that depict Jesus with features closer to his historical origins. This not only honors his Middle Eastern heritage, but also helps congregants from diverse backgrounds feel more connected to their faith. Pope Francis' comments encourage churches to reimagine their spaces as places of inclusion and historical authenticity. Modern theology increasingly emphasizes the importance of contextualizing Jesus within his cultural and historical framework. Scholars argue that understanding Jesus as a Middle Eastern man helps ground his teachings in their original context. This approach doesn't diminish his universality. Rather, it highlights how his message transcends specific cultural boundaries. Pope Francis' stance aligns with this trend, urging theologians to continue exploring the intersections of faith, history, and culture. Changing perceptions about Jesus' image isn't just a task for younger generations. Critics may argue that altering these images risks alienating believers or undermining sacred traditions. Pope Francis acknowledges these concerns, but emphasizes that truth and inclusivity are worth the discomfort. Addressing resistance with empathy and education is key to fostering acceptance of a more accurate portrayal. As Pope Francis continues to challenge traditional norms, his legacy will likely be one of transformation and progress. His call to embrace a historically accurate representation of Jesus is just one part of his broader mission to create a more inclusive and compassionate church. Whether or not his vision is fully realized, his efforts spark a conversation that will resonate for generations, inspiring believers to reflect on the true essence of their faith. Missionary work has long been a cornerstone of Christianity's global spread. However, the image of a white Jesus was often used as a symbol of European authority and dominance during colonization. As modern missions shift toward cultural sensitivity, Pope Francis's comments encourage missionaries to reimagine how Jesus is presented. By emphasizing his Middle Eastern heritage, missionaries can foster deeper connections with local communities and promote a more authentic message of faith. Diversity within faith communities is vital for fostering unity and understanding. A more accurate representation of Jesus can help bridge cultural divides, allowing believers from different backgrounds to feel a stronger connection to their shared faith. Pope Francis's call for inclusivity is a reminder that the strength of Christianity lies in its ability to adapt and embrace the diversity of its followers. Many biblical texts provide clues about Jesus' cultural and geographical origins. Passages describing his life in Galilee, his interactions with local communities, and the customs he followed all point to a Middle Eastern context. Pope Francis's remarks invite scholars and believers to revisit these texts, deepening their understanding of Jesus' life and teachings through a historical lens. Artistic depictions of Jesus often balance creative expression with historical accuracy. While traditional images of a white Jesus reflect the cultural contexts in which they were created, modern artists are faced with a different challenge: how to honor history while still capturing the universal appeal of Christ. Pope Francis' statements encourage artists to strike this balance, using their work to educate and inspire. Religious media, including films, books, and television series, plays a significant role in shaping public perceptions of Jesus. Many productions have defaulted to casting white actors in the role of Christ, perpetuating outdated stereotypes. Pope Francis' comments challenge media creators to rethink these decisions and produce content that reflects the historical reality of Jesus' appearance and heritage. Beyond the Vatican, grassroots movements are already pushing for more accurate depictions of Jesus. From local churches commissioning new artwork to social justice organizations advocating for change, these efforts reflect a growing desire for representation that honors both history and diversity. Pope Francis' stance provides these movements with a powerful ally, amplifying their voices on a global stage. Pope Francis' remarks open the door for greater interfaith collaboration, particularly with Judaism and Islam. All three Abrahamic faiths share a connection to the Middle East and similar understandings of Jesus as a historical figure. By acknowledging Jesus' cultural roots, Christians can foster dialogue and cooperation with other faith traditions, building bridges of mutual respect and understanding. Churches worldwide are filled with art that reflects centuries of tradition, much of it depicting a European Jesus. Pope Francis' comments encourage believers to view these works through a modern lens, appreciating their historical significance while recognizing the need for more inclusive imagery. Updating church art to include diverse depictions of Jesus can help create worship spaces that resonate with all members of the congregation. In the digital age, imagery and representation travel faster and reach more people than ever before. Social media platforms, online art galleries, and digital media allow for new, diverse depictions of Jesus to gain widespread visibility. Pope Francis's call for change aligns perfectly with the digital era, where visual narratives can evolve and adapt to reflect a more inclusive understanding of faith. For many believers, the image of a white Jesus is tied to cherished traditions and memories. Pope Francis's statements challenge the Church to embrace change without discarding these traditions entirely. It's possible to honor the past while making space for a future that reflects the true diversity of the Christian faith. This balance is key to ensuring that the Church remains relevant and inclusive for generations to come. Community discussions play a vital role in addressing sensitive topics like the representation of Jesus. Pope Francis' remarks provide an excellent starting point for open conversations within congregations. Church leaders can host forums where members share their thoughts and feelings, fostering an environment of mutual respect. These dialogues encourage growth and help communities collectively embrace a more accurate and inclusive portrayal of Jesus. Symbols are powerful in shaping religious identity. For centuries, the image of a white Jesus has been a symbol of faith for millions. Pope Francis' statements challenge us to redefine these symbols in ways that resonate with modern believers while staying true to historical realities. This redefinition doesn't diminish faith, it strengthens it by aligning symbols with the universal and inclusive message of Christianity. Young Christians are particularly receptive to discussions about diversity and representation. Pope Francis' comments resonate with this generation, which values authenticity and inclusivity. Welcome to Blessovia Science TV, where we take you on an exhilarating journey through the cosmos and unravel the mysteries of science. We are excited to offer you the opportunity to become a valued member of our ever-growing community of cosmic enthusiasts and knowledge seekers. Exclusive access to cosmic content. As a member of Blessovia Science TV, you will gain exclusive access to a treasure trove of cosmic content, including documentaries, interviews with leading scientists, space missions updates, and awe-inspiring visualizations of the universe, live Q, and sessions with experts. Your membership will grant you the chance to participate in live Q and sessions with renowned scientists, astronomers, and space explorers. Get your burning questions answered by those who push the boundaries of human knowledge. Embark on a journey that spans the cosmos and join us in unraveling the secrets of the universe. Become a Blessovia Science TV member today, and together we will reach for the stars. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, and share. Don't forget to leave your comment.